This is an R Media podcast.
This episode is made in partnership with Wounded Heroes Australia, the only 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis service that helps veterans and their families in their hardest moments. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about the moments that love announces itself. The meet cute, the proposal, the wedding day. But lately, I've been wondering about a different question. What does love look like at 2 o'clock in the morning? Because for my next guest, that is not a metaphor. When the phone rings in the middle of the night at Martin and Kim Shaw's place, it's often a veteran or a veteran's family who are in crisis. And Martin will pick up. Martin has been president of Wounded Heroes Australia since 2011. He's not a veteran himself, but he's a businessman who found his life's purpose in looking after the people who have served this country. And by the time Kim came into his life, that cause already had a huge claim on his heart. Kim grew up in a family with a proud history of army service, and she didn't just marry the man, she joined his mission. Today, she's a charity's philanthropy manager, and she works side by side with her husband. Kim and Martin's is a quieter kind of love story. It's two people who've built a marriage around holding other families together. And it's the perfect place to begin our new Acts of Service series. And just to note, we're going to talk about some tough topics in this episode, including suicide. If this raises any issues for you, you'll find support services in our show notes.
Every member of the Australian Defence Force and their families and every veteran I've met in my time love this country. They signed up because they love this country. They love our values and they love to protect. That's it. That's what they sign up for. And their whole life is actually built around love.
I'm Tiffany Dunk, and this is Acts of Service, a special series from the Australian Women's Weekly, Love Stories. Kim and Martin, thank you so much for joining us here. We're really thrilled to have you.
Very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Very welcome. Well, look, I'd love to kick off by asking you, obviously you work together, but outside of work, as a couple, what do you really love doing together?
We love working together.
Outside of work.
Okay.
We've got grandchildren, so we tend to spend time with them, you know. They just bring so much joy and love and laughter to our life. So, yeah, that's really how we de-stress, I think, the grandkids.
And we do have a couple of puppies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they keep us on our toes. So,
yeah. So then the two of you, when did you meet?
We met probably late 2009, 2008, but in a working capacity.
Okay.
And I was separated from my ex-wife, and so I'd thrown myself into Wounded Heroes, and Kim was writing some tenders for our organisation, and so we first met then.
2018.
2018.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Really, it's like you've known each other for that long though, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a long time. It's great.
Yeah.
So, so I look, and one day Kim came into my office and said that she'd left her husband, and then my heart jumped, and chased her down the stairs and asked her out if she'd like to go out, and from there it went. It was pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good to meet. There's a story behind it. She's not going to want to tell it. She'll tell it now, won't she? Yes,
okay. Yeah, I'd love to know from your perspective, Kim, how this all unfolded.
So he asked me out in his office because I'd said, oh, look, you know, I'm no longer with my husband anymore, and he asked me out in front of one of his staff members, and I said, oh, no way, I'm not going out with you. You're a flirt. And I'm not interested in that. And, so he chased me down the stairs and he's like, no, I promise you, I'm not a flirt. And I'm like, not sure about that. And, but we ended up going out on a date and, we've just been together ever since.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so that was 2022.
End of 2022. And,
we got married in 2023.
Yeah,
Wow.
Under 12 months.
Yeah.
as you said, Wounded Heroes was such a big passion in your life. Can you tell me, actually, take a step backwards, what is it that Wounded Heroes does, if you had to sum it up for me really quickly?
Wounded Heroes looks after current serving members, but in particular veterans and families in that sort of immediate financial crisis. So we're talking about situations where the families, particularly in the veteran community, they're very proud. They don't want to ask for help. So by the time they do actually ask for help, they actually need it then and there. And we're not necessarily the first organisation they'll call. Hopefully after this interview it will be. And so therefore we operate on the basis of accepting that they're a veteran. We get a little bit of information, but within 10 minutes to 30 minutes, we'll put a food voucher or a fuel voucher onto their phone. We're heavily involved with FDV, as there is in the community, there is in the veteran space.
Sorry, FDV is...
Family domestic violence.
Yep.
And I think particularly where one of our differences is that we actually very much specialise in looking after the families. So oftentimes the veteran will be okay. It's really just the spouse that's been holding the family together that's the victim of these things, and not necessarily because the veteran is a bad person. They've just come back from their work with mental health. So we're pretty much first responders, and we're national. I think that's the big important part for us, is that we don't have the borders like the bigger organisations. And the way we structure the organisation is that there's no defence charity, non-government funded, which is us. There's no defence charity in Australia that actually is open 24/7.
Right.
So the 6,760 hours a year that is non-working hours, we're open and we're taking those calls at night, through the night, making sure that we can meet the needs and of the veteran community when they need it most, because as everyone would know, crisis doesn't happen between 9 and 5.
Yeah, wouldn't that be convenient?
Yeah, so that's it's pretty much it. We do quite a varied things, but our core charity space, and all we pretty much do is just do the financial crisis side of stuff. And then we've created an organisation that can support that.
Great. So you mentioned, Kim, you met through work. What was it that you were doing, and how did you come into contact with Wounded Heroes?
Yeah, sure.
What was your introduction to the service?
I was the CEO for a training and employment organisation, and so I used to write tenders as well. And so,
sorry, I'm going to ask a dumb question. What's a tender?
An application for some government funding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I wrote an application to deliver an employment program at Wounded Heroes, and how that would help them is part of our sustainability is we've got a veteran centre in Bundamba, and through that employment program we could employ, and it's paid via the government, employ the people to work within the op shop and cafe, and you know, because it's quite hard to get volunteers. Yeah. And volunteers that are regular and that turn up every week and, you know, for their shifts. So, and you're trying to run a business. So, that program was just amazing. And what we sought was veterans and family members so that we could employ them through that program, give them training skills, build their confidence and self-esteem, and then help them get a job post-program. Yeah.
So then you'd obviously met Martin through work, but after you started dating, after you started, you know, it became more than a workplace thing. Seeing Martin at work, how did that shift your view of him and sort of, I guess, maybe make you fall a little deeper in love or look at him in a new light?
Look, he is the most kindest man I've ever met in my life. He's someone that if he'd take the shirt off his back if you needed it, and he'd go cold, and that's what he's like. He's just someone that gives me a lot of safety and security, and even within his crisis management, because he mans the crisis line personally at nights and weekends and public holidays, and he has a couple of words that he says. So if you were to ring him in crisis, the thing he'll say to you is, "Don't worry, I've got you." No. And I can't tell you, from someone that's been in crisis myself previously, when you hear those words, it is so comforting. Yeah, he's just very, very special, and he's quite he doesn't self-promote, but I'm happy to tell you. So, you know, within his crisis response that he does every week, he would get a minimum 10 texts from people that he's helped saying, hi, Martin, thank you so much. You didn't know it, but I was going to take my life that day.
Oh, gosh.
So every day he is saving lives. And I don't even know how you'd put a number on it, but I know, since he started with Wounded Heroes in 2011, he would have saved in excess of, say, 43,000 lives. So just from 10 minutes to an hour helping someone. And so for me, you asked, how do you fall more in love with him? Every single day I fall more in love with him. And it's quite easy.
Okay, that's enough now.
Oh, no, never enough for me, Martin. Wow. Then can I ask, because you're not a veteran yourself, what drew you to the work that Wounded Heroes does?
I had my own business for 20 years and I was come from a merchant banking background and then had my own business and then sold that and because I was travelling a lot and I had young children. So I decided to sell that and I went and ran the Runaway Bay Soccer Club as a president for 12 months and did my penance, never to be done again. And I came across the founder of Wounded Heroes, Jim Shapcott. I liked the sound of the charity because it was national. I liked it because 100% of every public donation went to veterans and families. Jim told me a fib and told me that he had Jerry Harvey and a couple of other big groups as supporters already, which wasn't quite true, but he sucked me in.
He was a scallywag.
He was a scallywag. I think I liked it because of the fact that all that money that public donate goes to veterans directly to the cause. No sort of administration came out of it. And I guess for mine, I didn't know what a veteran was, truly. I thought, as probably the majority of people listening to this would believe that, if you're injured in war or serve our country and you're injured and you can't work again, that you just get $1 million. And why wouldn't you? So I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest with you, but, I've been around a while and I thought I'd give this a crack, And I did a fundraiser on the Gold Coast because I was there at the time at the Carrara Markets, where you don't fundraise. For anyone listening, don't go there fundraising. They want water pistols and ice creams. That's what they want there. But they gave me a free stall and we had 50 people on Facebook and I put a note out saying, hey, listen, Wounded Heroes, we're going to raise money here and come and see us, et cetera, and did the whole hoo-ha. And unbeknown to me, Jim had sent $2,000 down to a family at Tweed Heads who were in financial crisis, did not know anything about it, wasn't on the board. And so the wife saw that post and thought, I'm going to come up and say thank you. So she popped up to Carrara Markets with her husband and he was a defence army, did 3 tours of Afghanistan. He was a sergeant major and he was hit with an RPG, a grenade in Afghanistan and blown to a container, buried alive. They got him out and ended up in a German hospital. So he came up and, of course, he was dishevelled, hair everywhere. We're talking about a soldier here, and really looking a mess. But his wife made him come up to say thank you, and they brought their 2 children up as well, 10 and 12. So what had happened was that I found out about what happened with the accident. She proceeded to hand me $1,000 back, and said, "We didn't need $2,000. Here's $1,000 back." And I'm going, who does that?
Yeah.
What's this all about? And so as it turns out, the 10-year-old boy, the son, what does a 10-year-old boy do when dad's just home from 8 months being away and it made the papers and it was named in Parliament. And he jumps on the bed in the morning, dad's home and he couldn't get dad off. Dad thought he was being attacked.
Oh, gosh.
And he was a soldier, so his wife couldn't get him off. So the boy ended up in the Tweed mental health facility. And he was diagnosed with PTSD because of his father's service, along with his 12-year-old sister, who was diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress, because of her dad's service. And they had an $887 medical bill they couldn't jump over. So that's why they needed the money.
Yeah.
And what I realised was that there's no money for the families.
Yeah.
There's money for the veteran. They'll get that eventually, and that's obviously another story. So I rang my two older children on the 25th of June 2011. I said, Dad's not going to be a millionaire anymore. I found out what to do with my life. And I dedicated my life to veterans and families to try and see if I can help and maybe hopefully keep them here. And that's the reason I started it. And as I said, our revenue was about 50,000 then. We had 50 people on Facebook, and we've just tried to find a way to keep the charity going and also around governance, transparency. And today, 15 and a half years later since I sort of took over as president, we still have 100% of every public donation goes back to veterans and families. So there's not many charities that can say that. Yeah. And I'm determined to respect the public's money. There's 63,000 charities registered in Australia, and I think that we all should be respecting that donation because it's just so hard to get. It's people's money now. It's life's tough.
Yeah.
We see it all through the economy, through everything, and to have the people actually donating $10 to us, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. So it should be respected, and I'm really proud. I made it my mission, and it's been tough. There's times where I could have used it, I could assure you, but we keep it for veterans and families, and all that time, we've met our commitments and looked after, 43,000 veterans and families in that time, and it's pretty powerful work. But that's the reason I do it. There's no money for the families, and as human beings, probably through my Catholic upbringing and my values, is that we and as you call that love and respect of those people that have actually signed their life away to defend our country, and we should be there to give them a hand up, not necessarily a hand out.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's so beautifully said. Kim, I believe you've got a background of army service in your own family. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I guess, what did you learn about what service meant through your own family?
So for me, my great-grandfather fought in World War One. Both of my grandfathers were in World War Two. My dad was a reservist back in 1960, and my son-in-law was a reservist for 10 years, but he was deployed to Timor with his twin brother. And so was did a 9-month deployment there. So, look, it's gosh, what have I learnt? I think that for those that serve, there's so much camaraderie, and when they leave service, it's that loss of your mates, and a lot of them struggle with that. That's probably the biggest thing I've learnt. Yeah, when they don't have their tribe, they a lot of them get quite lost. Yeah, it's quite sad.
And is it also like a little bit of a lack of structure as well? Because I guess when you are serving, and you mentioned before the man who was, his hair was dishevelled, which was unusual because he is of service, and you're used to having to get up and to be ready to go. Is there something in that kind of loss of structured day, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly the loss probably of identity. These are soldiers trained a certain way, and then to have to come back to our land, to civilian land, and adjust to that, it's certainly difficult for them. You've got to imagine that, in the Australian Defence Force, if you're not fit to go to war, you're out. If you're injured, with that physically or mental health, and there's always mental health. So, they're getting 90 days notice, lose their job. These are boys and girls that have wanted to be soldiers since they're 6 years old, and particularly out of Afghanistan. I met boys that were 22, 23, and they said, sorry, you can't serve anymore, and they don't know anything else. And because the way the system's structured right now, by the federal governments, be they Liberal or Labor, the way that it's structured, it's taking so long for they are entitled to an income. Through their service. But the way that it's been structured now, there's so many hurdles to go over that some claims their entitlements, taking 6 years.
And I think, just to put that into context, so for us in a normal working environment, we can access work cover if we're injured at work. These guys, the Australian Defence Force is the only Australian employer that doesn't have work cover.
Really?
So so when they leave service, they're basically fired from their job if you're medically unfit.
Yeah.
You're fired from your job. Then you get out and you've got to prove your injuries and make a claim. And there was one guy who was in Afghanistan and he was in a Bushmaster and it hit an IED.
A bomb, yeah.
A bomb, and his head hit the roof of the Bushmaster. He ended up with an acquired brain injury, and his claim took 6.5 years.
Oh, my gosh.
So he had no money. They're on Centrelink, and he was homeless at one stage, suicidal twice. Martin helped him and saved his life several times, and so for some of them, it's quite an arduous journey, and that on top of what we just spoke about before, that loss of identity, loss of mateship, mental health. For some, they turn to drugs, alcohol, gambling. There's family dysfunction, relationship breakdown, financial problems. Sometimes they lose custody of their kids. It puts another layer of complexity. Sometimes there's family domestic violence. And then they end up homeless and they're suicidal because they just think, why no one cares about me. So
awful.
that's why for us it's so important that every call that we get, we respond quickly because we're very aware that we could be their third or fourth organisation that they've reached out to.
We might be their last call.
Correct.
So what does that 2 a.m. phone call look like? Martin and Kim are going to tell us some stories about what happens when they answer the phone. Hey guys, I want to throw a few numbers at you. The first one is 1 in 20. That's how many households in Australia have at least one person who has served our country. And chances are that could be your sister, your dad, your housemate, your neighbour, your partner, your friend. It could be you. And for many of those who have served, that service has had a long-lasting impact. Because the next number I have for you is 3. In 2023, 3 veterans died every 2 weeks by suicide. And that is a leading cause of death for ex-serving ADF members. I've got one more number, 1,555. That's how many Australian veterans were homeless on any given night during the 2021 census. So why am I telling you all of this? It's because you can do something to help put an end to these devastating numbers. Wounded Heroes Australia is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis service that's there any time of the day and night to answer the calls of veterans and their families in crisis and offer them an immediate lifeline. But they need your help to keep this going. Whether it's as little as $1 or even more, every donation from you can help to save the life of a veteran who dedicated theirs to protecting ours. Head to woundedheroes.org.au to make a real difference. Thank you. Then take me through like an average night and what one of those 2 a.m. phone calls looks like for the two of you.
We had one at 10:30 one night in New South Wales here. Everyone's closed, as I mentioned, so we were open. He'd had a fight with his wife so around mental health, so we don't judge. And he was sober, so it wasn't alcohol in that particular case. And you can imagine this is a build-up. So, look, she kicked him out, but he didn't have his wallet with him, and he didn't have his phone, just out. So no car. So he called us from the pizza shop that was open, found our 1300 number and got me. So at that particular moment, because he didn't have a phone, I said, look, stand by. And, of course, if you could imagine, this is country town, Lismore. And so I had to do a ring around to find a motel open. And I don't know if you've been out at night, but most motels, the family own, they close at 9 or something. Yeah. So I got the third one, the other one sort of said bugger off, and got him there. And it was within walking distance. So so I then got onto the pizza shop manager and I said, can I buy a pizza? I gave him a card over the phone. I said, look, go there, you're safe. put your head down, give me a call in the morning and just get some sleep, okay? So he did that. So then I got the motel manager to take my card over the phone and I got him the night there. So 8:30 the next morning, he's rung me just completely distressed because he didn't have his medications with him. So you've got to understand the mental health side of stuff, that medications are critical to him. So I said, don't stress about it. Just find the nearest chemist, get them to give me a call. So it was $6.10 to get his meds for him. Look, when I was talking to him from the chemist, he just wanted to make his way to Carrara Clinic, which is a fantastic facility up on the lower end of the Gold Coast. So we managed to transport him up to Carrara and I got him into clinic up there. But in the meantime, he didn't have any clothes, etc. So I managed to get a Woolworths voucher to him, Big W, sorry, and some food, etc.
Extended his accommodation.
And I extended his accommodation because all clinics pretty much, except maybe Townsville Private, they won't do an intake until the Monday. So I had to keep him safe. So basically then I extended out his accommodation to Monday morning and Lismore, where he wasn't too far from the shop. So I can get a chook and some bread and stuff like that, some coleslaw. So we got him up to Currumbin and then pretty much that was it. And then about 10 days later, he called me and he said, Martin, I've got my medications right because, with medications, particularly in mental health and depression, etc., they take a while to find the right levels, So he's back stable, if you want to call it that. Yeah. And he says he said he was leaving in about a week to be discharged. So I'm not sure what I'm doing. I said, listen, just give me a call. And then we looked at some other resources for him to work with. Then I didn't hear from him. And then about 3 weeks later from there, I got a text in a photo with him with his 2 children and his wife.
Yeah,
so he just got stable and got back home. Okay.
That's wonderful. And that's just one call out of how many would you take a year, say? Or
last year we looked after just under about 5,803.
Yeah.
That's about.
Right.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
5,800 because we keep our data so we can show the public, this is where their money's going and what we do. We're finding we're getting an increase in our call rates, so we've been forced to hire another crisis manager who does. I've got 2 crisis managers that look after 9 to 5 during the week, and then we haven't got the funding to cover me off yet to get me off the tools at night, which I think would be timely at the moment. It's becoming a little bit harder for me. I've got some health issues and also I've now got a reason to go home and have a weekend because I was on my own for so long and because people don't get what I do and Kim does. And so I still struggle every day to not go to work. But I'm slowly being retrained.
Great. Well, I was going to ask, how do the two of you keep your marriage a priority? Because you've got this really important project that you're both working on, and as you said, you feel like it's hard for you to step away. How do you keep your marriage looked after and thriving?
Flowers.
Flowers is good. Yeah.
I think having a sense of humour really helps us. So, and we've got some really good friends and family that really helps to keep us, grounded and together. And, I'm not going to lie, some days are really tough and we get some really tough crisis calls that really can be quite upsetting. They don't have great endings sometimes. At the end of the day, we've just got each other. That's all that matters for us. We're the only two, I suppose, that get each other totally, and we're just surrounding ourselves with good people. It's all you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, you mentioned you're really so reliant. You don't have the government funding. 100% of what you do goes back to those that you're helping, and so you're very reliant on public donations. Can I ask, how close have you come at times to not being able to continue doing what it is that you do?
It's tough. We've come quite close. I think I'd be the only charity president in Australia that actually has lent the organisation just under $500,000 of my money to keep us going. it's a loan. I'd like it back one day.
I think there's a lot of personal sacrifice
Yeah.
in that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Martin's put all his super into it, so he's got no super.
Wow.
All his super is in Wounded Heroes, and we can't afford to pay him back.
Yeah.
To say we go close, even December, we can't. Tiff, we can't predict the next call. So I can run an organisation and I can run a social enterprise that can deliver an outcome, but I can't predict the next call. So obviously, the critical nature where Australian Women's Weekly helped us in December is that's one of our critical times where you've got the triple whammy of school holidays, Christmas and New Year's Eve. That's where we lose a lot of boys and girls because they might be in clinic, they feel like they can't feed their families, they can't buy Christmas presents. And then, of course, you run into April where you've got the triple whammy of school holidays, Easter and Anzac Day, where we lose a lot of boys and girls as well. So that's the critical time. That's the biggest call on our funds. So I can't think I've lived a Christmas in the last 15 years that I haven't nearly run out of money. So we've had to find innovative ways to survive. So we have some corporate donations, not a lot, tough to get. We've got the public support, tough to get. And then what we did create then is our own social enterprise. So we've created a veteran centre in Ipswich, in Brisbane, where it's a combination of a cafe and an op shop. So we're Australia's only veteran op shop. And then that was in 2021 during COVID. Some bright spark decided to take a lease during COVID. Made a lot of mistakes because I'm really good with homeless veterans and veterans in crisis and families. And so then when an opportunity came up in, Australia's largest garrison town in Townsville, and I was watching Townsville for a long time because there was no place for veterans and families to go to and transitioning members of the Defence Force without alcohol and pokies. So the idea of the social enterprise around a cafe was born. So we then scaled the model out of Ipswich into Townsville to about 10 times the size. Officially opened that on Remembrance Day last year. We've had about 1,200 walk-ins. It's really proved a need up there in Townsville. So what it does do is it gives us a cash flow, which I didn't have before. So it's allowed me to, when I talked about 12 and a half years, the last 2.5 years we've been able to get to a point where I can hire people. So that's allowed us to then scale the organisation because of the ever-increasing need. Because when you're talking about homeless veterans, we looked after something like 1,318 last year. It's a lot of money because it's no longer $120 a night. It's $250, $280 a night. So I need to find the money somehow. So for us, it's trying to never miss a beat, and that's my motivation, is to make sure that we can support the veteran. And at Christmas time, we get low, and as Kim Matess would tell you, and I'm easy, I don't get stressed. But the veterans are so beautiful. So what I would normally do is a $250 food voucher, maybe more fuel now because of our government and what's going on in Iran. But I can give them $100 of food and $100 of fuel, and they don't know the difference. One, I do, and two is they'll make that work. Your veterans will make $100 work. The spouses, particularly, it might be mince on toast or whatever it is, but they'll make that work for 10 days. And it's not about the money. Then it becomes hope that they can actually feed the kids, and they won't feed themselves. I've been in houses. I had an incident on Anzac Eve. And I had a call from an RSL. We had an Afghanistan boy twice deployed. He was with his mates when they were killed by the Afghan soldiers, and heavily damaged boy. And he and his family went into the local RSL. It was a club, a pokey club, and they just wanted to get $100 food voucher. And the club said, "You will give you that, but you got to sign up as a member." And I said to Kim, I could walk through that place and get $100 off every person in that place if I told them what was going on here. Right? So somehow or another they rang me. In those days I was on the Gold Coast. So I decided, no, I'm going to go up. I'm going to drive up. So it was Anzac Eve. It was just on dusk. And I got to the house and they're in the dark. They haven't been able to pay the electricity bill. So this is a boy did in Afghanistan 2 tours, and he was on Centrelink. So I got into that, and the only thing to get the lights on is that Origin Energy, they loved me, but I got to pay the bill, right? So it's on the phone, ringing through, getting the electricity on. And he was in the corner. He wouldn't make eye contact with me. He was embarrassed, the poor thing. And his wife was sitting there on the couch in a dressing gown. They'd sold most of their furniture to survive. They were behind on their rent. She'd sold all her jewellery except for her wedding ring. And he'd hocked his medals for $1,000 at cash converters up there. And unbeknown to me, in the back room was their 4 children, 8, twins 11 and 14-year-old. Now, if you could imagine sitting around a dining room table, these children agreed to hock their PlayStation and Xbox. Something not right about that. So in those days, I gave them a $500 food voucher, but it was Anzac Eve. And they're in such distress. And so I ended up, I got $130 worth of pizzas delivered. So, and those kids hadn't seen a pizza in 8 months, right? As I was leaving, the soldier couldn't make eye contact with me, but I caught a wry little smile on the corner of his mouth. And then I helped facilitate through the larger organisations to get his claims through pretty quickly. Yeah. And I made a bit of huff and puff with the department about that. And then I drove home, and as I was driving home, I got a call from another one. This is Anzac Eve. And this boy had 7 children, if you can believe it. At Cannon Hill, and I was nearly back at the Gold Coast, and then I'll go back, and he couldn't feed his family. His kids were coming over Anzac morning, and so I ended up. It was about maybe 8:30 at night, just before the shops closed. So I physically went into Coles at the Cannon Hill shops there, and I went and bought a whole whack of groceries. I think I bought about 10 kilos of mince and filled these things up. And I had some pencil cases that we used to sell in the back of my car for the kids, and etc. So I did that, and eventually got home. So you can see why I was single at that time. So that's it might be just food or fuel when we talk about, it's easier to talk about to the public, but I'm not sure how many other people will jump in a car and then just have the situation where you can read the room and look in their eyes and this pain. But she just was there loving her husband, and he was so embarrassed because, he couldn't look after his children. This is a boy at 18. I don't know if your viewers know, but, when a member of the Defence Force signs up, they have to sign their damn will. These are boys that are literally laying down their lives for our country, and I think that they're coming home broken. I've spoken to a good friend of mine who lost her boy to suicide, and some veterans are not particularly nice. And she reminded me, says they weren't like that before they joined.
And that's it, I think, for the families, isn't it? The person, and probably why it's so confronting for them as well, is that the person that they sent off to go and fight for us is not the person who came home. And through no fault of their own, but you can't imagine the things that they've seen and endured. So,
and I think with that, we spoke a bit about that family and domestic violence. So we recently helped a female veteran here in New South Wales, and she left a domestic violence situation, packed up her car in the middle of the night with her kids, 5 and 2, and the back of the car was just full of whatever she could grab, and was sleeping in her car, and it's freezing, right? It's freezing. This is only like a month ago, and it's so cold, and she used her last nappy on her baby at 2 a.m, and had to put her on the bonnet, and it's freezing, and she's just crying, and she's thought, I just can't keep doing this, and she ended up getting onto us, and we helped her immediately. So, and I think that's the difference for us or for people to understand, is that when you're in defence, you're often deployed and moved all around Australia. So you lose your support base. You lose your family, you lose your friends. You've got to try and make new friends, but sometimes they can be superficial because you're not going to be there for long and you're going to move, so people don't dig in deep for those friendships sometimes. You know, this lady's all alone and had to flee and nowhere to go, no friends to call, and so she's just sleeping in a car.
Wow.
It's just awful.
Well, then what can people listening, or what can I do, what can we do to sort of help you continue this work that is...
Look, the obvious answer is fundraising. Look, the theme of this podcast is love stories. So, and I have the best love story ever, and I am blessed every day. I do say my prayers and say thank you, and then sometimes have to buy a lot of flowers. But I've met a lot of veterans over my time, and I was complimented by, after about 15 years of doing this, by a serious veteran, a general that said, you know, you don't have to wear a uniform to be a warrior, and I was quite honoured with that, because I get embarrassed, you know, because I get judged a lot, particularly by the big RSLs and things, because they all served and I didn't. But I am running a social enterprise and trying to deliver an outcome. But I think when you come to love stories, I think what I'd like to say is that every member of the Australian Defence Force and their families, and every veteran I've met in my time, love this country. They signed up because they love this country. They love our values, and they love to protect. That's it. That's what they sign up for. And their whole life is actually built around love. As I mentioned, you know, to get the lights on at 9 o'clock at night, we just need to have the cash at bank. So cash is king for us. It's obvious for charities, but to support us, obviously through our website, public donations, you can have recurring donations, as most charities do. Knowing that 100% of that money is actually coming back into veterans and families. But just support us through public donations. Any corporate organisations out there, I know that oftentimes charities are predetermined out there, which we respect entirely. So there is another way to help us, and that's around, we have launched Australia's only charity coffee called Wounded Heroes Coffee. So if you go to our website, woundedheroes.org.au, our coffee, so 100% of all profits, no, it's not a percentage, 100% of all profits of that particular of our coffee goes back to our charitable purpose, into our social enterprise.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about corporates, maybe their offices may be interested in taking our pods, or the instant coffee, or the obviously the beans.
Yeah, or you can do it at home, and so many of us have those pod machines at home, right?
So and even as corporate gifts, so we have groups out there at the moment that are buying like 50 kilos of our signature blend, which is a World Bean Awarded blend given to us by Phil DeBella. And they're giving away as corporate gifts versus, say, a bottle of champagne. It's got like the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, look, I can't do without my morning and afternoon and occasionally mid-afternoon coffee. So, yes, that's a...
So I think if there's for those corporates or even individuals, give the coffee a crack. You won't be disappointed with it. And it all goes back into something that you're having every day. But it's actually going back into a purpose, coffee for purpose, that allows us to continue, one, keeping the crisis lines open, but also making sure we've got the cash flow and cash at bank to be able to meet those demands, particularly outside business hours. So we're obviously pleading for the big corporates, any philanthropists out there, any groups that are looking to support something that's impactful, that you can be part of a solution of something that's real, then please find us on our website, woundedheroes.org.au.
Well, I think, all of us have people in our lives that we love, and the thought of them being, any of them being in this kind of situation is heartbreaking. So, yeah, if we can all extend that love outwards a little bit and look at these incredible Australian families, then, yeah. Head into our show notes, please, and learn more, because this is an incredible organisation run by two incredible people, and I can't thank you enough for coming on to tell us your story and the story of Wounded Heroes. Thank you.
Thank you
so
Thanks for having
much.
us. God bless you.
What an incredibly special conversation that was to open our Acts of Service series. Martin and Kim are such a beautiful reminder that sometimes the greatest act of love is just showing up. And for them, that's at 2 a.m, side by side, for people that they've never met. Now, here's the part where you come in. That phone line that you've been hearing about all episode, it exists because ordinary Australians just like you keep it open. So if this conversation has moved you, don't let that feeling pass. Head to our Acts of Service page, the link is right at the top of our show notes, or head to woundedhero.org.au to learn more. Another way to show up? Just switch up your morning coffee, because as Martin told us, 100% of the profits of Wounded Heroes Coffee go straight to keeping that 24/7 crisis line open. And if you're a veteran or a family member of one, you don't have to wait for that crisis to make a call. The Wounded Heroes Crisis Support Hotline is 1300 532 112, and it's open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And you've just met two of the people who make sure that phone is always answered. For anyone else doing it tough, Lifeline is there on 13 11 14, and there's a full list of support services in our show notes. You've been listening to me, Tiffany Dunk, from the Australian Women's Weekly. And we'll be back next week with another story of love, and next month with another Acts of Service. I hope to see you then. This episode is made in partnership with Wounded Heroes Australia, the only 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis service that helps veterans and their families in their hardest moments.
This is an R Media podcast.